is not enough to make a business prosperous. So you need skill. The skill, one, operational skill, two, managerial skill, and three, organizational skill. Now I'm talking about competence, which is also another factor. Operational skill, that's the first level. That is the skill that you need to generate profits. And that's why you see some guys who have small shops somewhere at Alaba, they're making so much money. They only have operational skill. Managerial skill is that skill that now allows you to develop the right strategy. That you can now efficiently and effectively manage your business. That's managerial. Now you can now look at your resources, organize people around you, and do all that. That's managerial. So most small businesses who are making so much money, billionaires all over the place, you can see them, the kind of cars they drive and the kind of lifestyle, all right, they have operational skill. No managerial skill. Now, where can you get operational skill? One, you can work as an apprentice. You can work under somebody in an organization. You can do so many things to, acquire operational skill. What about managerial skill? Where are you going to get that? You attend courses. You go to Lagos Business School. You go to Faith Foundation. And some of all those organizations out there that can provide you with such skills. And then the third level of this skill is organizational skill. What does that mean? And that is the leadership skill. Ability to manage people. Ability to make them follow you. Do you know what it means for somebody to follow you? Someone to work in your company for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. For everyone that works in your organization, they are your followers. For everyone that lives in your house help, the security man, they are your followers. They are looking up to you. So there's something you are doing that inspires them. Any day they struggle to align with that vision, they will resign. It happens even in the churches. People change churches, right? Why? Because they are tired of hearing the same thing. They are no longer motivated. They are no longer inspired. They are no longer learning from the pastor. So they change church. So people would always take a walk when they are no longer connected with your vision. And so your vision must be inspiring enough to motivate people to follow you. In organizations, associations, ministry, or whatever it is that you're doing, your vision must be inspiring enough in order to motivate people to follow you. I know that my time is actually short, and so I'm going to be very fast so as to conclude, and then we can move to the next stage. So building a business for the purpose of fulfilling your lifestyle is different from building a business that would last. And like I said, the first phase is easy, and most people are in that phase. But the second one is better. Why? Because when you're building businesses that will last, then you're going to be very professional. You're going to be ethical. Ethical practices is one of the ways you can actually build a business that will last. What does that mean? You are fair in your judgments. You are transparent. There's accountability. There's professionalism. The decision-making process is transparent and is clear. People can agree with your decisions. You have the right people who are trained, developed, and they are given responsibilities. That's what good governance means. And the advantage of having a business that will last is of great relevance to the society. Why? Because business is about doing good and doing well. Business is about doing good and doing well. So when you're doing business in a society or in a community, the community should benefit from your business. Let me give you a typical example, which is very common. Imagine you have a business that produces bottled water. And that business produces bottled water, and your price is the cheapest in the market. And then everybody's happy, and they're calling Nnamdi and Son bottled water. Imagine if the price of the market price is 10,000 naira and yours is 5,000 naira. People are going to be buying from you. Why? Because your price is affordable. Your price is the cheapest, particularly for customers who are price sensitive. Now imagine if that factory is in the center of Lagos and people in that environment are suffering from the fumes coming from the production of this pure water. Is that an ethical business? The business is producing pure water or bottled water at the cheapest market price. But the factory is situated in the center of a city like Lagos, and the fumes from that factory is constituting nuisance to people in that environment. So that is actually a negative externalities, and that's not good for the society. So business must do good and do well. For who? For the society. For the society. So the purpose of doing business is to create wealth, create jobs, create value, and serve humanity. So as Christians, we can actually do business. And so, and like I said earlier, the business place, the marketplace can become a platform to actually serve God and for us to glorify God. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Mr. Nnamdi. Thank you so much. We have business. I heard her talk about people from business school. Saz, this session, how much would it worth if we actually go to business school to learn it? Because I feel like it is priceless. Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Very priceless because it was such a full session. I kept writing, and because I'm the SE, I have to listen so I can come back and tell you, did you know, did you? But I kept writing it, and I said, no, am I in class or am I doing MC work? But it was such a full session. Another round of applause for him, please. For anyone who says, I've come to get clarity on how to run my business, or why is my business not moving forward, or why are my staff doing like this? I feel like from this session, you can already have an idea of what to do, so that when we then go into the entrepreneurship roundtable, the panel session, you're asking practical questions, you're asking business-related questions, career-related questions. They're able to help, you real time with real life experiences. I don't think there's anyone on the panel who hasn't done business for over 10 years. All of them have done for over 10 years. If you give birth to a child that is 10 years old, this madness in them, so you have wealth of experience to draw from. We also have this full knowledge that we have. You might think that, you want to put some sort of structure in your business. You have heard it. Operational skills. I didn't even know that operational skills. I feel like I've never heard of it before. And don't worry, I'm going to go to my workplace. And sometimes we just need to develop our managerial skills. As managers. You people, you will not get the last of it. But I was saying that to say that when you break all of this down, and I like the fact that I said, where can you get it? Operational skills. When you understand that okay, the problem with my team member is that this person hasn't learned the work. This person doesn't have the operational skills. So you know that, okay, you know what? Go to this department and learn how they do marketing. Go to this place and learn how they do HR. Go to this industry and then you're in real estate, right? And you want to work hand in hand with our power woman here, Brookhouse Designs, right? And you don't know the first thing about interior design. You don't know the first thing about not even talk of the design part, right? But now you have an understanding that to get that skill, let me do apprenticeship, right? Organizational skills. I like the fact that he said that even with your house help, your gate man, your sister, your younger sister and younger brother, you learn organizational skills from there. And that's so profound. That's so practical. So when you have heard these things, and you're able to distill down to what the problem is in your business or in your career, you can then ask relatable questions, helpful questions that will be very valuable to you and every other business owner here, right? So please, another deep, long, hooray round of applause for Mr. Nnamdi. Who said who? I had who in the house. You are the one I'm going to give my first giveaway gifts. Why? Because you listen. You're writing. You're even listening to me. The rest of us, we don't listen in class. And I beg to ask how your secondary school and university experience was, because it means that you only take half of what the lecturer says and the rest is not your business. So I'm going to take the instruction again with a hooray and a hoo-hoo. Another round of applause for Mr. Nnamdi, please.
In the night, voices, rhythm, melody, people, places, everything. Jesus, the maker of them all. Everywhere I go, I see you right in the beauty of nature. You shine all around. For you are everything, and everything is you. Precious Jesus, the wonderful, wonderful one. Oh, 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 oh.
You want to build a company where you will have the ability to not only employ, but empower and bring people up, through having gainful employment and build a kingdom enterprise that will scale and have my fingerprint and footprint everywhere you go.
But anyway, she is an award-winning entrepreneur. She's an energy economist. She's a global speaker in business development and strategic scaling. She is the founder and CEO of Oriki, first and only all-natural farm-to-skin brand that combines a premium product line with a fast-growing wellness spa franchise on the African continent, with over 13 wellness spas across different states in Nigeria and a growing footprint across Africa, including a flagship location in Nairobi and more expansions on the way. I think that deserves a round of applause. Our work and thought leadership has been featured in global media such as CNN, CNBC, The Huffington Post, Ebony Magazine, Vanguard Nigeria, Guardian, and she's also the founder of SWAR, a platform that equips entrepreneurs with business development systems, SOP. I remember, this SOP, I'm so sorry for, oh no, it was at the peak of, or when I started doing fashion, before I went full corporate and all of that, I don't understand it. Where can I meet this woman to even explain what this means and all of that? And it's so amazing to have journeyed through the years with some of our work. She's passionate about sustainability and scalability of small and medium businesses. She's dedicated to strengthening the economic backbone of the continent. She's previously the curator of World Economic Forum Abuja's Global Shaper Hub, where she leads community-driven initiatives on youth employment and entrepreneurship. She's an alumni of the WEF Global Shapers community. She is Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Fellow. She's a 2-time nominee of the Future Awards Prize in Public Service. Yes, she currently serves on boards of several organizations and has received over 15 awards and recognition. Most recent being one of 100 Access Bank Power Women, March 2025. A round of applause for that. She's currently leading the expansion of Oriki with a bold vision to develop 5 Oriki Spa locations over the next 5 years, and she's spearheading many other ventures, one of which is the Oriki Wellness Entrepreneurship Hub, Africa's first ever co-working space for wellness entrepreneurs, designed to empower wellness professionals with resources, training, and support, supported by Lagos State Employment Trust Fund and the United States African Development Foundation. She is a devoted wife to Tola Awoshika, a seasoned entrepreneur, and mother to 2 boys. Please make welcome Mrs. Joycey Awoshika. A round of applause for her, please. You're welcome. Next is event industry powerhouse herself. I mean, she is a visionary leader. She is an expert in event industry. She has left an indelible mark over 2 decades as the founder and CEO of Sapphire Events Group, pioneering events planning. She has created over 5,000 successful events globally, influencing architectural and design trends. She is devoted to empowering brides. She has authored the Essential Bridal Handbook and fully initiated the Funke Says YouTube series. She's committed to societal impact and established the Sapphire Training Academy that is shaping over 500 event professionals. Our initiative, including Sapphire Connect series and the Event Experience Africa, is fostering collaboration and empowering event entrepreneurs. Globally recognized, she is honored among the BBC 100 Most Inspirational Women, receiving numerous awards for exceptional contribution. With an LLB in law, she actively engaged professional association and serves on the advisory board for the Destination Wedding Planner Congress, exemplifying a commitment to societal enrichment. Please make welcome the force, the one, the only Mrs. Funke Bucknor. You're welcome, ma. All right. I have read his bio earlier, but it doesn't mean that, and I'm not going to repeat it, don't worry. But I want you to welcome him just like you did earlier, Mr. Nnamdi Ezigbo. Welcome. And to anchor this powerful session, first of all, I want you to appreciate her for this, I don't know what to call it, these powerhouses that are on this stage today. I want you to first appreciate her before I bring her on stage. A round of applause for Mrs. Gladys, please. And thank you for honoring her. Thank you for, it tells of the kind of person she is. It tells of the reputation she has. It tells of the integrity and how hardworking she is, how, bankable she is. And so, another round of applause for her, please. Again, to anchor this powerful session is no other person than our convener, the woman of the hour herself, the Odogu and the Achalugo of Women Impact Global. A round of applause for Mrs. Gladys Ame. So what I want you to do in this session, please listen very carefully. She's going to ask some questions. They're going to say, tell us their experiences. Try and relate it to your experiences. Try and bring out questions that when they hear, they'll say, this sister is going through it. I need to help her. Let them come from their wealth of experience and give you practicable answers, actionable steps, that you will go out with and come back in 3 months and tell Mrs. Gladys, you know what, my business has gone from doing 6 digits to 10 digits just by this session, So another round of applause for all of our panelists. I'm just going to hand over to our anchor.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to my panelists, from Mr. Nnamdi to Auntie Funke, thank you so much. To Joycey, thank you so much. You all honored God and honored me. Thank you. So I'm just going to give a brief history of why we introduced the Entrepreneurship Roundtable. And that was 2021. I had this, inspiration, and I know it was from God. And, I was just like, okay, if a lot of entrepreneurs, because just reflecting on my journey into entrepreneurship, if a lot of entrepreneurs have or hears other people's story of how they started, you know you are not in the wrong place. What is probably happening to you right now in your business has happened to some other person. How did they scale through? And that's why we brought these powerhouses. Now, people who have done that, been there, seen all in business, there are real stories. There are real struggles. What they've been through in business and still standing. So the host mentioned earlier that for you to be in this economy of today, you hear companies running out of Nigeria, leaving Nigeria, companies closing down, and someone is here managing over or running over 80 stores across Nigeria. You only have one, you want to die. You now imagine 80 stores across Nigeria. And that's the reason, that's what birthed these conversations we're about to have here. And wanted to, with all your hearts, and God will give you inspiration as you are hearing, will give you instructions on what to do and how to navigate the waters around your business. So, I'm going to go straight into it. I'm going to ask them, one after the other, to tell us how and why they started. What inspired them? See? Oh, you have my card. Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gladys, for putting this together. I'm so honored to be here. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure that if we each spoke, we could be here from now until May 25th, but I'll just make it short and sweet. How and why? Why and how? I'll do the why. The why first is a calling. It was what God asked me to do. You heard, Mrs. FBO, she's a lawyer, right? I am an energy economist. I'm not in my field today, but I answered a call. A call to, first and foremost, to buttress Gladys' point. I moved to Nigeria having never been to Nigeria before, 12 years ago this year. I came from a calling and I fell in love with Nigeria and I stayed. So they say I reverse Japad. Dapada. And that was first and foremost, answering the call to leave familiar and come to a unknown land. Then second was I thought I was going to wear my big girl pants and continue to trade power, put on my energy hat and do that. And I did that for a couple years, saying, okay, God, I can contribute to the power sector, and keep doing that. He said, no, I didn't send you there for that. You're going to build a company where you will have the ability to not only employ, but empower and bring people up, through having gainful employment and build a kingdom enterprise that will scale and have my fingerprint and footprint everywhere you go. That's the why. So I was answering a call and I kicked and I fought and I wanted to do things a certain way, but at the end of the day, how many of us know there's a pool? And when you lean in, the best thing to do is to lean into that pool and let God build with you. So that was the why I started Oriki. And it started as a product range. So many people know the spa today, but it started as this vision to take natural ingredients from here, turn them into finished goods that can compete globally. How did I do it? I believe in excellence. So when I finally answered the yes, it was about stepping out to build this business in a way that could stand the test of time. Because if it wasn't my initial vision of why I moved here, I had to ensure that I was building it for longevity. So the how has a lot to do with what Mr. Nnamdi spoke about, and that's why I always feel like I'm connected when I hear him speak, because it had to do with building systems that could outlive me, building structures that could outlive me. We have 13 locations in 3 countries and 6 cities, and we're in different nations. Nations are different because what I'm doing in Nigeria, I couldn't do in Kenya. You understand what I'm saying? Like I had to culturally adapt. So it was the excellence and the systems and processes that were created that allowed me to build.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. I think for me, I would start with the why. The why started from when I was in, and I'm sure a lot of people here might have heard the story, but when I was in university, when I was in law school, it was actually law school. I just realized a lot of my friends were getting married, and I realized that when people were getting married at that time, 23, 24 years ago, they were always overwhelmed, they were always stressed out. They just didn't enjoy the process. So I felt, why? How can I help them enjoy this process? So I realized that some of the things that were stressing them out, I took the burden off them. So that at that time, there were things like Ashwebi. People were looking for how to distribute. They didn't know where to go. I helped them. People were trying to go for, see their vendors, book vendors. It was stressful. I said, let me take that off you. Let me help you with that. So that was kind of like why I started at that time. It was really to take the stress off people, and in business they say when you see a problem, you solving it is you're just great. You're a solution provider. So that was it for me. And I was just a very young girl, just coming out of school. But at that time, I didn't still know that this is really, really what I wanted to do. So I still went to serve. So after law school, I went to a law firm. But after about 3 weeks, I realized this wasn't going to work. I left and I went to work in an advertising agency. Background, when I was younger, I thought I wanted to study mass communication, but my parents didn't allow that. They wanted me to have a professional course. For those of you in this room, it's easy to be who you are now, to be a content creator, to be a photographer, to be a videographer, to do anything you want. But at that time, you just couldn't say, this is what I wanted. So I was boxed into the room of being a lawyer. So that's why I studied law, and I like that I studied law. Then, of course, after that, so helping my friends. But while I was working in the advertising agency, I realized this is really, really, really what I wanted to do. So I resigned, and I started doing it. So I planned my friend's wedding, and then another friend's sister's wedding. And that was just how it was. I started taking the burden of people. It says, we can take the stress off you. But I realized that taking the stress off you means the stress is on me, Abby. So how do you even begin to manage that process? So I started out as just me starting the business, but I realized I needed a team. So, building a team, growing that team, ensuring that the team is empowered. I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more about that. But really, that was kind of like the why, and also, the how it started, and realizing. So another thing I wanted to say was that when we start something, a lot of times we don't know that people can pay. I didn't know people could pay for it. I just thought, who will pay for it? Because it was a service. When it's a product, it's easier. You can say, buy this. But when it's a service, sometimes it's difficult for people to see the value. So how do you sell the value to people? So, I just thought to myself, somebody just said, my cousin said, why don't you start charging? Because I wasn't charging. I said, okay, people will pay. I said, try. I said, Nigerians, they will pay for this. And I just told somebody, 10,000 naira. They said, okay. 20,000 naira, okay, and that was just how. So sometimes when you're starting something, you don't know what people don't know what they need until they see it, right? So that was it. Even me, I didn't know the value. It was as the business was growing, I realized, oh my goodness, we're really creating a solution. So really, that was it. So I think that for anybody here, maybe you're struggling with, how do you start? Why am I doing this? And another thing is also to understand that everybody's in different phases and different journeys, and our stories are all so different, right? So for you, it may be a service. For you, it may be a product. You may be a mix of both. Because after service, I've gone into product. So, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But that's just the why and the how. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I think I'm blessed among women. All right. Okay. So mine is a little bit different. I studied electrical electronics engineering, and the plan was to get a good job. All right, and I wanted to work only in oil companies. All right, because I have a good results, and so I tried. Every time I would get to the final stage, and then one thing or the other would, So my entrance into the business world was born out of frustration. All right, so I couldn't get the kind of job I wanted. I come from a family of 9, and I'm the first. And so in the Igbo tradition, as the first, you are expected to take care of your siblings. And so much was, on me. So I wanted to get a very good job. And while I was even studying in the university, my mind was Mobil, Chevron. Do you understand? Anyway, so when I finished school, I couldn't get that job. Meanwhile, while I was serving as a youth corper at Guinness, I was enjoying because I was drinking a bottle of stout every day and then a bottle of malt. All right, so but after my NYC, it dawned on me that the job was not there. And I began to face reality, okay? So after spending 2 years at home, attending interviews and doing all those stuff, mom, everybody praying, we believe so much in prayer and thank God for that. But we also need to face reality. So it dawned on me that I could actually create my own job. So, to be frank with you, until you realize yourself, you won't be able to do anything different. You're going to be following everybody. So I discovered myself and I said to myself, I'm going to create my own company and I'm going to hire people. And that was what I did. So I was intentional about going into business. And so what I needed to do, because there were two things that came to my mind. One is that if you want to grow in Nigeria, you need, what do you call it? Competence, and the other one is what? Connection. So you don't have connection. You don't have any uncle who has money slashed in one bank account. You don't have connection. Do you understand what I'm saying? The only option for you is what? Competence. So it's either connection or competence. So for me to actually create value, then I need competence. So because I studied electrical electronics engineering, and you have to also look at what is prevailing at that time. So that was late 90s, computer engineering, computer cyber cafe. For some of you who are less than 25 years, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So we had cyber cafes everywhere, business centers everywhere, and then the rich could actually afford computers. So there was need for computer engineers. So what I did, which like I said was very deliberate, was to work with a friend who at the time had a computer engineering outfit as an apprentice. So I went to him and said, you know what, Festus, I want to work with you for 6 months, no pay. I want to learn how to fix computers. So I was deliberate about it. I was passionate about it. I had a clear vision of where I want to be and how I intend to get there. And this guy was so gracious. And he said, "Oh boy, you know from school now, you're a cool guy. Why not?" So he allowed me. I spent 6 months with him. I became one of the best computer engineers in town. So in fact, later on, I set up a computer engineering school that we're now helping young people to acquire the skill. Today we have Slot Academy. We train people on how to learn, how to fix computers, how to fix mobile phones, because that was how I started. So I spent that period with Festus, and after 6 months, in fact, like you mentioned, I was not charging money. I would fix a computer. The fact that I was able to fix a computer was enough excitement for me. So most cases, I would be on my way out, and then they would call me, won't you collect money? I say, you say, what? How much? I say, anything. And then the man would just put hand in his pocket and start looking for anything to give me. All right? So that was how I started. And the first 3 years, when I left my friend's business place and started my own, the first 3 years were a period of, it was a chaotic period. Because I was basically doing business to make money. No vision, no strategy, no plan. It was just, so we started as a computer engineering, not computer engineering outfit. We're not selling computers or selling phones or whatever it is. It was purely an engineering outfit. So that was how I started. All right. First 3 years, very chaotic, and after 3 years, I began to attend courses, training, and then I began to learn how to build a system. We can talk about that later. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to add one or two from what he said. I remember when I started as well, that just brought back a memory. I remember in 2012, I didn't have a job. I had nothing. I was staying with Jimmy Tewe at the time. And I didn't know what to do. I'd finished having an interview with David Wedge at the time to be a store manager. But I really wanted to be a marketer because I knew I could sell. But they wanted me to be a store manager. I knew, and for me, it was like, you're going to confine me into a space. I want to go out. I want to talk about your, I want to sell your product and all of that. And I waited at home. I waited at home for like 3-4 months. They didn't respond. And I knew there was a pastor in my church who does furniture sale. She's an architect. She sells furniture. She's on interior design. And I just went to her. I said, see, I don't have a job. I don't have anything I'm doing. I want to come. I'm not saying you should employ me and pay me money. I want to come and work for you. And she's like, oh, Gladys. She has an accent. So like, oh, Gladys. We're actually not recruiting at this time. I said, I just want to come and work. Put me anywhere. She said, okay, come and see me at the office. And I went. She said, okay, I should stay with the furniture producers, the carpenters. So every time they send me to the market to go and get fabric swatches and all of that, I find joy. We're staying in Magodo then. I would walk from Magodo to Ogudu, you know. I find joy because I left the house. I had nothing. At the time, I didn't even know what interior design was, or if I was going to have a career in interior design. But that's to say, sometimes when God is bringing you into something, it's just an instruction to say, you know what, it doesn't have to be rosy from beginning. It doesn't have to be money, money, money from beginning. I worked for her for 6 months, and at the 4th month, the husband sent me a message. You have been one of the most valuable person or staff we've had, because we'll work overnight, we'll go to different sites, we'll stay overnight. I found joy. I wanted to be valued. So I learned from there. I'll follow the carpet at the bricklayers. I'll mix cement with them. I'll climb the ladder with them. I wanted to know the nitty-gritties of what we're doing, because she didn't have time to train me. So I knew where I was going to learn was with the people that was working with her. So God will give you different platforms, and thank you for that, for that answer. So, Auntie Funke, I follow you on Instagram, and I read some of your, and sometimes you said, oh, you've planned wedding for generational, for different stages of a family. You've been with them from the beginning, from the first son. How did you get to that point? Because sometimes you provide service for somebody, they'll be so displeased that they want to hire you again. How have you survived different generations in a family? So they got married, or their children got married, their children have gotten old, and then, or maybe their cousins and all of that. How have you survived? And you haven't mismanaged that relationship?
Thank you. Thank you. Is this good? Can you hear me with this mic?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's a very good question. We have mismanaged one or two.
I mean, yes, it's practical, please.
So, because we are being real.
Yes.
So, and I'll try and tell this truth so that maybe somebody can catch. So I'll say the part of the getting it right, and I'll talk about the part of getting it wrong. So getting it right, I was very deliberate, and I love the deliberate, intentional that Mr. Nnamdi, was using. I was very intentional about creating a client life cycle. So what that meant was, this client of ours, we will not let you go until we are gone. I don't know if this. But basically what it was for things like that to happen, your clients must trust you. You must have built trust in the work that you have done for them. Trust. Now, what's the other one? You have been consistent. So what happens is that a lot of times for people, we do something once, and the next time we want to do it, we do not bring value or put our best foot forward. Or we do not want to be as excellent as we were the last time we did it. So it's important that for us, it was a case of, this client is a client that we need to intentionally make sure that they are constantly our client forever. So building trust, consistency, excellence. You see, excellence for me, and I always say it is, a lot of people think that excellence means, oh, it must be perfect. Excellence just means, to me, you are you put in your very best. Because a lot of times people want to be mediocre. We don't want to put in our best. So we need to make sure that the client even sees that you are putting in your very best. So that is one of the things that has actually helped us. Clients have seen that, look, we are genuine, we are authentic, we're real, and we have been consistent over the years. So we've planned a wedding for someone, and I'll tell you the life cycle. The particular family, we planned 4 weddings for them. Now we planned these 4 weddings. The first wedding was great. Second wedding, third. Oh, we're coming back to you. Now let me also tell you another thing with clients as well. The fact that we've grown with the client doesn't also mean that we are now going to get to the place where we are like, don't you now see that we are big? That, you know, there's something called see finish. We don't see them finish. I treat them like as if they're just coming to us for the very first time. So you need to make sure that you are building a bank of emotions, building a bank of trust that you will pull up. We did an event recently for a family. We've done 6 events for them. They lost someone very dear to them. We didn't charge a dime. We said, don't pay. We will not charge. I didn't know how much it meant. They are billionaires, they can pay. But I said, this is tragic. We meant so much to them. The whole world has called me to thank us that we did not charge. I just thought it was not a big deal. It's to you, but for family, for what they must pay? For what? How much? Guess what? That meant something to them. So you also need to deposit a lot of love. A lot of you. We must make money, oh, please don't get me wrong. But money, okay. Money shouldn't be your overall driving factor. There are many other things that will bring money. So let me give you another example. There was a client we planned an event for, and that particular client is a billionaire. But when we finished the event, he had money with us. He had forgotten the money. And I'm talking about a lot of millions. I'm not joking. It's like that money, I can use it to, anyway, let me not. A lot of money. He had forgotten. He had paid for the job and everything. But I called his assistant and said, this job, we finished it. Once we budgeted, it's less than what we need to return money. He said, return money? My guy has forgotten. I said, no, there were some things on that document we said we were going to do, but we did not do. Please. And we returned the money. Let me tell you, the number of people that they called me, they said, this man said you returned his money. You're planning, So we got emotional bank. That same family, we have done many events, burial, birthday, all kinds of events. So you have to think about the life cycle of the family, also of your client. And let me also tell you another thing. One of the things that we also did was, for example, we planned a wedding for somebody. That person became the MD, has become the MD of there's a wedding, there are weddings we've done. Now they are not MDs of financial institutions, banks. We're putting on that. Now we're all planning their corporate events. So it's not just the weddings, not just the birthdays. Now you're planning their parents' birthdays. You're planning, funerals, because their older parents are dying. Their grandmothers are dying, their grandfathers. So, and then their children are doing birthday, 10 years old. You are there. We did a 1-year-old birthday for one of our brides. And I said, don't worry, don't pay us. She said, Auntie Funke, I said, don't worry, that's our baby. Now, I already calculated that when the child is 5, you go pay. When the child is 10, you go pay. When the child is 20, you go pay. I don't know if you understand. I said, don't worry, that's our baby. So it's important that when you are dealing with clients, try not to look at money. Like, don't let money cloud you. I don't know how to explain. That thing. Just make sure. But the thing is, you must be excellent. You must do it with all your heart. You must be consistent. And I will talk about the bad. Now, when you do make mistakes, because you will fail. You will fail them. You will make big mistakes, and it has happened. And I'll give you 2 examples. We did an event for a client 8 years ago. To me, it was a big disaster. As far as I was concerned, it was one of my worst events. Maybe 9 years, not 8. And I just thought, I'm never going to work for this family anymore. But I did not give up on the family. So we just kept on. There was a bit of a miscommunication. It was not really our fault. But there were things that happened that I didn't understand. So, there's something about managing stakeholders that I had to learn 9 years ago. I thought I'd known it 22 years. I don't know if you're getting me. I learned it differently 9 years ago. So, we kind of didn't do well on this event. But I did not give up. We just kept on pushing. Every time I saw the clients, I would see them. I would say, I'm sorry. I would apologize. I would say, I'm sorry. The client at first said, don't talk to us. After a while, they became soft and said, okay, you are forgiven. Now, the client now died. But his children came to us to plan his funeral. They said, my dad would have loved for you to plan it. My mind thinking, your dad fought us, so if they fight me before he die, are you sure? I said, the dad said, no, it would be, you are the only person. And this is the only way you can redeem. Honestly, I'm not lying. To God be the glory. That man, before he died, he said, I have forgiven you. When somebody said it, I said, thank you, sir, But I'm just saying that we're not really in his best of books. But his children thought that they should come back to us. And it was an amazing event. I mean, it was a befitting funeral. To the end that when they wrote the feedback, they said, do you know what they wrote? They said, this was a redemption. Wow. Can you imagine the same client saying this? So I'm just trying to get you to understand that things happen. There are some that you may be able to repair. Some you may never be able to. But when you can, there's also another client of ours. We did a birthday for her, or an anniversary and a birthday. It didn't really go as well as she thought. It was her fault. But I couldn't tell her, Ma, it's your fault. So I just kind of managed it. And I sent her flowers for about 3 or 4 days, every day, to say, we're sorry we didn't meet your expectation. Wow. We did 4 events for them after that. Wow. So I'm just trying to get you to understand that things happen. You make mistakes. You will not get it right all the time. There are clients that we don't work with anymore. But just make sure that it is out of 100%, it is 80% that you are working for. You may not get it right all the time. So don't beat yourself up too much. What you should do when you don't get it right is say, what could we have done better? And how can we make sure it does not happen again? So that's it.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Just like what she has said, in 2019 I was in America and I met a woman. She sells furniture in Nigeria. I'd never met her before, but I met her at that exhibition. And we're talking and she said she has had clients for like 30 years. Like when they bought their first house to their next house, that she grew with her client. When they used to live in Surulere, then to Lekki, then to, she grew. I started asking myself, I don't have clients that have returned to me before. Like, it's very, very rare. I didn't even know it was a thing that you should, keep your client growing with you. So since then, it became my prayer. That I want to have clients from generations from when they first buy their first home or when they rent their first house, even if it's to provide the furniture or curtain or something, right? Let them grow with you. Right, so thank you so much and then you took my last question from me because I'm like, have you messed up a relationship and how did you fix it? Because, everyone has been through that point. But Joycey, I followed Joyce on Instagram, but I didn't really know much about her. I just liked how she does her Instagram thing. And that's to tell you that beyond the Instagram paparazzi, go and dig deeper about who you are following. And why are you following them? 3 years ago, God told me to read more about Bosco Angika when she started. She was who she was even 30 years ago. It's just manifesting now. So he said, read more about her. I started digging deep into when, just to know how did she get to this point. So I came for SOA. And Joyce mesmerized my head. I was crying in that. It was like as if everything I was doing was wrong. So how? You started your business like every other person. How did you get to the point where you need to put systems, structures? Her own system and structure is not the English I'm speaking. Her own system and structure is system and structures. You get what I mean? It's not the English, but you get it, So how did you get did you know this before? Did you learn it before? Were you doing it in your workplace? Were you trained? How did you get to the point, you have different stores across Nigeria? I've never gone to Oriki and see Joy standing there. Answer that woman now. She's standing. Those kind of things. Everybody on point. Everything in its place and everything in place. So how did you get to the point?
Thank you so much for that question. So I would echo what some of my panelists have said. It came from a place of of desperation, just to be honest. You know, we're here, we're being real, we've all been quite transparent. The year that I started Oriki, I ended that event, the launch of Oriki, remember it was products, and my husband proposed to me that evening. That was my finale. From the proposal, wedding, from honeymoon, pregnant with my first child. Business, the time wasn't even up to a year. So I knew there's no way, I started this new business, first of all, I was new in Nigeria as well. And I wasn't going to say we have to close our doors. And at this point, I had already decided that we had to have a marketing strategy. Because here's this lady come from America thinking she can sell natural products, and the market wasn't even fully ready for it then. So the marketing strategy was the spa. That was actually how the spa started. Get people inside the doors, engage with the products, use, and move on. So there was no way, I knew that very shortly I was leaving again for a 6-month period, you know, to have this baby, my first son, and to come back. And I said, what will I do? Yes, before that period, I was standing there in the front. I was head of customer service, head of marketing, looking at the numbers, and that was not going to be possible. Okay, you install cameras, you put things there. How much can that do, you know? So I began to work backwards. And that's actually how I built the framework for SOAR. I began to write down everything that I was responsible for at that time, everything. I put it on this thing that I call the dump list, which I teach now. And on that, I would see things that needed to be delegated, DEA, needed to be eliminated off my table, and things that could be automated. My first employee, Loveth, is a part of the family. She has been in 5 different positions since that day. That was 10 years ago. Loveth was my admin. She could barely talk. I remember how I got her. I was doing interior for the place, and the landscaper that came to do the landscape, he said, you need someone. You're here morning till evening. Who are you going to have? I'm like, we're not open yet. Let me just focus and get this place ready. And she said, I have this young lady who lives in my house. She goes to my church, and that's how Loveth joined. Loveth was a scientist, but she had not had any experience before. So she joined as an admin. And I sat down with Loveth, and I said, listen, I'm telling you now that there's a baby inside my belly. I'm going to be leaving at a certain time frame. Loveth, we need to start writing down. I call her my SOP ambassador, standard operating procedure. Write it down. If you're trying to build a company that outlives you, you need to have it. It's non-negotiable. However, think of it as a recipe of your business. If right now you make the best Nkwobi, how you make that Nkwobi the same way every time is a recipe. So that even if you're not there, someone else can replicate it if they follow it to the T. That is the SOP of your business. So I literally documented everything that we did because I knew I was going to leave. The funny story is, I wish like Loveth was here. The funny story about this is that when I was giving birth to Caleb, I was emailing them and checking. They had no idea that I was in labor. And the company grew in my absence. And there was a big joke when I came back. The MD, we didn't even need you. We were fine. But how did it grow? Because I empowered them to be able to show up every day excellently without me. The more micromanaging that you do, the more your business will remain small. Because you're only one person. And the more micromanaging you do, the more disservice you're doing to your team. I have built stars. I don't go to Oriki. Now we have Unwind by Oriki, so they can come to you. When I even want a massage or a facial, my nails, they come to my house. Oriki location is when we do our quarterly meetings, and I bring the entire company together, and the ones abroad are on a Zoom screen. That's when I walk in. If I want to do a blind, like here, like I had a speaking engagement before this. We were on Intercontinental. I'll pop in, say hi, look at things, send the head of operations some observations I might see. But head of operations is empowered. She has an SOP that shows her how to show up and do her work. That's the first part, right? Empowering the employee. Then the second part is the systems to run the company. Before COVID, we used this massive administrative book where 10 a.m. there might be 4 slots because maybe there's 4 rooms in that location. And we have Victoria here. She's been with me 6 years now. She was the customer service rep then. We write down, oh, thank you. Please clap for her. She's also had 4 roles. But yeah, we write down 10 a.m. This room is Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so in this room. And then, okay, if you wrote in pen, mistake, because maybe they had to reschedule, you have to cross it out. And the book was messy. Then right before COVID, I said, this is not scalable. Actually, I want to be able to wake up, open my computer, and see all my bookings for today. So we switched. I began to look for technology that could actually do that for us. Question I have for you entrepreneurs is, what technology can you implement now that would allow you to achieve more with less effort? Do you know that I used to have them, Victoria used to take a picture of the book. This is who we're booked for today. By 3 p.m., oh, MD, these people have rescheduled. The book looks half empty. Do you understand what I'm saying? But the technology was there. Then what did that technology allow me to do? Allow people to now book in themselves without having to call or email us. So we have a mantra in the company. Every quarter, and I think Mr. Nnamdi would appreciate this, we are literally looking for a new technology to implement. Every single quarter. If it's coming from finance, if it's coming from ops, what technology are you bringing in to make your life easier and better? So when Kenya came knocking the opportunity, our biggest location so far, now Uganda is bigger, ×2. When Kenya came, we took a system we already had, threw 3 people there for 8 weeks, opened the location, and it's all Kenyans who run it. That's how you do it. People and processes. So it was out of desperation. I did not learn it before. I began to, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I feel like people feel very overwhelmed when they hear SOP, system structures. But it just starts with the entrepreneur deciding, the founder deciding that they want to systemize their business. They want this business to outlive them. And then when they do that, you start to work backwards. And if you have even 1 employee, hold them tight and let them become that ambassador that works with you. You don't have to do it all yourself. Start giving them tasks to document, to do this. Give it to me by end of business this day. And you'll start to see that you have a library and a documentation of things that you didn't have to do all by yourself.
You know, one of the things Joyce said the day I came for her program was, if you want to build a legacy business, you have to build a legacy document, right? Yes, legacy documentation that will help you build a legacy business. We're talking about build to last. Before I move on to my next panelist, there's a link, it's called Slido. I'd like you to log on to Slido. If you have any question for any of the panelists, direct question to any of them, you can please type it. I can access it on my phone. You can do that right now so that we can take more questions for them. These questions are just inspired for everyone, but you can ask personal questions. Okay, sir. When I met Mr. Nnamdi, I think he was already over 20 years in business. And the first time I went to see him in the office, I met him in the office where he was 25 years ago. And that's sort of like, that was humbling, because it's not as if he can't afford to buy, or at that time he was already running over 80 stores. And I asked him a question. Why are you still here? He will come down. You know how, have you gone to Computer Village? There are 2 markets I don't like to go to in this Lagos. Computer Village and Lagos Island. Because you're asking me, madam, what do you want to buy? What do you want to buy? Pulling here and there. So, but seeing him walk out of his car, entering, the office is small. His key staffs were there, and his admin person was there. He's, sitting down in his office, and I asked him, why are you here? You are so big. Why are you here? So please, can you answer that question for us?
All right, but interestingly, we've left that place.
Yes, actually.
About 2 years now. All right, so like I said earlier, and I also connect with Joyce and you. Thank you very much. So, like I said, if you have a clear vision of where you're going, you won't be distracted. All right? So, moving out from Computer Village was something that I knew I could do, but there were more pressing budget, there were more pressing projects that I needed to conclude. And at the end of the day, we were able to build a 6-story, befitting office complex. Okay, so if you know where you're going, you won't be distracted. So, but most times, and I'm sorry to say this, with due